Okay, let's try the first two questions here in our revision. It says determine the rate of depreciation to 1 decimal place for an item to become a quarter of its original value after 9 years on. Well, you've got the straight line method of depreciation. So, okay, it's going to become a quarter of its value. So instead of, you could use A and P. In the memo, they use X. But A is going to be a quarter of A. It's going to be a quarter of A. So it'll be, you could write a quarter X or a quarter A. They use X. And so a quarter of its original value. So there's the original value. This A at the end, actually P is X, and the A is 0.25, a quarter of X. 1 minus 9 multiplied by the interest rate. We're going to solve for this interest rate. We divide by X, and we get 0.25. And then we add 9 in, we subtract the 0.25. We get 0.75, divide by the 9, and there's your 8.3%, and that's the answer. What about the reducing balance method? Well, we're going to start with something, but we want it to be a quarter. Everything's exactly the same, but it's not linear. So instead of 9 times the interest rate, we go 1 plus 1 minus I. This would have been nicer to be an I, an I because it's interest rate. But there we go. There's an I to the 9th power. Well, divide both sides by X. That makes it simpler. But we want to get rid of the 9th power. So we have to do the same thing to both sides. We take the 9th root. That's just a thing in our calculator. We've got minus I, so we add I. We take away this thing, we put in 1 minus this into our calculator, and we get 14.3%. You actually will get 0.014 and a bunch of things, but you round it off and change it into a percentage. And here you'll get 0.083. But as a percent, you multiply it by 100. You'll get a decimal when you're doing it in your calculator. But there's the first two questions.